multilateral agencies like UNICEF, UNAIDS, UNDP, UNIFEM, NACO, WCD Ministry, ActionAid. Mr. Dev's consuming passion is preservation and promotion of Indian languages. He has lectured widely on language issues and continues to do so. He has been a member of the Central Hindi Committee headed by the Prime Minister. He has been a member of the Hindi advisory committees of several union ministries. He was awarded Hindi journalism's highest award, the Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi Puraskar, by the Honorable President of India in 2017. He is currently a member of the Executive Council of Kendriya Hindi Shikshan Mandal, Ministry of Education. Sir, I'm so proud here today to be hosting you at the 46th Aadharshila Talks at Ramratna International School as a speaker. It's definitely a stroke of good fortune that we could connect with you for this talk. And thank you for accepting my request and my invitation to be speaking at this platform. So friends, I won't take much time, but let me tell you that this is so relevant to, we celebrated, the entire world celebrated the International Mother Language Day yesterday, 21st of February. And today, what an incredible coincidence that somebody who's so passionate about languages is with us, guiding us. Looking forward to listening from you, sir. So I won't take any further time. Over to you, sir. Once again, a warm welcome and deep gratitude on behalf of Ramratna International School.
Thank you, Dr. Jaya Parekh. Though I must tell everyone that she will always remain Jaya to me, only Jaya.
Yes, when I heard Dr. Jaya Parekh, I was surprised.
I have been badgering Jaya to please invite me to Rama International School, but you know what happened, that happened to the world in the last year. So I'm extremely happy to be finally here, even though online. But that gives us a chance to be able to speak with the larger number of people, perhaps spread over the whole country, which otherwise is not possible physically so easily. So thank you very much. I'm really indebted and grateful that Jaya, you could finally make it happen. And I'm here with you on my favorite subject. And I also see very happily Dilip Patel, and very happy to see you, sir. Good afternoon.
Welcome, Mr. Patel. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Last time I missed out the Aadharshila timing, so this time I was very keen, so I kept my computer on and I sat here till 3:30. So I was eagerly waiting for Rahul Dev ji to talk to us.
Right. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe most of our friends here are teachers somewhere or the other in India, and I'm especially happy and glad that I'm speaking with you today, because you are, to me, the perhaps most important section of society that matters. I was once in a seminar with Acharya Ramurthy as a co-speaker, and Acharya Ramurthy, some you may know, was he was head of a one-man commission that was set up by the central government to go into the entire question of Indian education, and he produced a report. They've had several commissions, so there was Acharya Ramurthy. I remember, and I've memorized this one sentence, and I never forget it. He said, "Education is the last hope for humanity." And that's how I perceive education, and that's how I perceive when I look upon teachers, as the last hope for humanity. So given this extreme importance of what you do, and the extreme importance of what your impact is on society in the long term, that's the context in which I'll be speaking with you about languages. It's also a rare occasion when I'm speaking on languages in English, because Jaya knows I generally speak in Hindi alone, but I'm happy to make this exception today. Though I'm a student of English literature and English remains my great love as a language, but I also want to tell you to start by telling you that I perceive a very grave threat to all Indian languages in the very, very near future at the hands of English. A language that I love and a language I'm sure most of you like and love. If it sounds contradictory, I'll explain. There are some major linguistic or language myths or follies that most of us suffer from. Hopefully teachers don't suffer from it, but we'll see. Generally, people perceive language to be just a means of communication. If I'm speaking and you are understanding me, it doesn't really matter what words I use and whether I mix languages, I'm code switching, code mixing, I'm mixing Hindi with English or Marathi or Bangla or Tamil, whatever it is, or I'm speaking in English alone, or I'm speaking largely in Hindi and sometimes in, it doesn't matter so long as you understand what I'm saying. And the purpose of language thereafter ends. That's all the purpose of language. Nothing could be farther from the truth. This to me is the smallest, perhaps the smallest or at least smaller role that language plays in our individual lives as well as in our collective lives. Language, in short, can we have everyone muted first and then I'll unmute myself?
Yes. I think only Mr. Patel needs to mute himself. Dilip sir, please mute yourself. And Rahul sir, is it possible to increase the volume from your end? Or if the mic could be closer to you?
All right, I'll
If
try
you're
that.
wearing an external mic.
Is it better?
I think this is better. Yes. And if possible, if you could, use a little of Hindi also in between to have the flavor of the most spoken Indian language also added to this.
I'll speak in Hindi for a while, for some time, and then English.
Sure.
If everyone is happy, me speaking in Hindi alone, it'll be all right. I'll be happy. So let me know.
I think we have people from all across the country. They might not be comfortable totally with Hindi.
All right.
But I would like everyone to know why sir made an exception and is speaking today in English, because the English speaking people have the biggest responsibility to ensure that they don't get so engrossed in English and turn it into the language of India in such a way that it kills all the other languages. I mean, for the lack of better words and the better ideas to put into it, the way sir would, but then this is how I feel that this becomes a bigger responsibility on all of us who predominantly use English with our students, with our parents, with people we meet, and in our daily communication. So it's our responsibility to ensure. And so over to you.
Thank you. तो ठीक है, मैं पहले अपनी हिंदी का थोड़ा सा स्वाद आपको दे देता हूं। तो मैं जो कह रहा था कि भाषा की दो भूमिकाएं हैं। एक भूमिका है जो हम लोग आमतौर पर मानते हैं कि वो केवल एक अभिव्यक्ति का माध्यम है और या संवाद का माध्यम है, यानी आपने कहा, मैंने समझ लिया, मैंने बोला, आपने समझ लिया, लिखा या बोला जो भी है, और वो भाषा का काम हो गया, इतना ही भाषा का काम है। मैं उसको एक दूसरी भूमिका में देखता हूं, वो ज्यादा बड़ी भूमिका है। वो भूमिका वो है जो भूमिका जब हम अपनी माँ के गर्भ में होते हैं तो हमारे जो माँ की गर्भनाल जो भूमिका निभाती है, वो भूमिका भाषा हमारे आंतरिक शरीर के निर्माण में, हमारे व्यक्तित्व के निर्माण में निभाती है। मीनिंग that language plays the same role as that of the placenta plays when we are in our mother's womb. It is the womb or the placenta of our inner being, our inner self, the me, the I, our personality, the inner body of us. It shapes our personalities, it shapes our relationships with the world, it shapes the way we look at the world, we relate to the world. It shapes our sensibilities, our consciousness, our likes and dislikes, the way we live, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we eat and interact with people and the world. If there were no language, there would be no human culture, no human civilization. You know, human history is about 10,000 years old. And it has been constantly changing. There is something called human history with all its various periods and characteristics and heroes and villains and incidents and changes. But have you heard of a history of the species of dogs or any animal species? Do they have a history? Yes, but that's spread over millions of years. Human history, as we call it, this history of human civilization is only about 10,000 years old. So the difference between animals, other species, and our species is largely of language. And within this, language is the single most important force that separates one civilization and culture from another. Whether it's culture or subcultures, like India is sometimes called multicultural nation, not just multi-religious, but multicultural, and also multiracial. But there is one thing called Indian culture. We all have some sense of, there's something called Indian culture. Within that Indian culture, there are subcultures. There is a Maharashtrian subculture, there is a Punjabi subculture, there is a Tamilian subculture, a Bangla subculture, or a UP, a Hindi subculture, etc., etc. And you already know that India in 1956 was reconfigured. We gained independence in 1947. In 1956, India was physically and politically reconfigured and reconstituted on the basis of languages. So we had states formed. New states were formed, or old states were changed, their boundaries were changed, they were divided, and new states were formed. This new India was formed on the basis of languages. So the Marathi-speaking people got Maharashtra, the Punjabi-speaking people got Punjab, the Telugu-speaking people got Andhra Pradesh, the Tamil-speaking people got Tamil Nadu, and so on and so forth. That reconfiguration remained and remains controversial in some ways, but we'll not go into that. And you all already know that India is world's fourth country with the highest amount of linguistic diversity. We have the fourth largest wealth and treasure of languages. We have over 3,000 languages. 22 languages are official languages, and we have 124 languages which are major languages. But if we include all the tribal languages, all the very, very small languages spoken by very, very small groups of people in very remote corners of the country, It's over 3,000. There is actually no exact number. Number keeps changing as the number of languages in the world keeps changing. A few months ago, when I checked up with Ethnologue, which is the world's largest and most credible source for all information on languages, ethnologue.com, you might look it up. It said the total number of languages in the world is 7,110. Yesterday, I checked, it was 7,117. So apparently within a month or two, 7 more languages have been found and categorized. So the word, as we still are learning about the extent of biodiversity in the world, we are also discovering newer languages, new languages. And we are still discovering the total extent of diversity of languages, linguistic diversity. And just as we believe, though it took 25 years for scientists, natural scientists, to convince the world that biodiversity matters, that climate change matters, that climate change and industrialization was damaging biodiversity of the world, it took nearly 25 years for the world to really recognize and accept this reality, this science. I think it will take longer for the world to realize that equally, if not more, linguistic diversity matters for the world. But some scientists are already saying this. Each language represents a culture. Each language represents a way of life, a way of looking at things, a way of relationships, a way of relating to the world, as I said, and to people. Each word that we use in any language has taken thousands of years to form. Each word that we start using or we stop using is at least 1,000-year-old. At least. Actually, they are much more. So each word is a treasure of humanity. Each language is a treasure of humanity. And it is this beautiful tapestry of different languages and subcultures and language cultures and literatures, ways of speaking, and all the different music in different languages of the world that this whole beautiful humanity is composed of. So when one language dies, a world dies, a part of the world dies. Currently, every 15 days, one language dies somewhere in the world. The predictions are that out of these 7,000 odd languages, currently living languages, by the turn of this century, only about 200 will survive. The government of India acknowledges, and it's said for the first time in the new education policy, that in the last 50 years alone, 50 years, mind you, not 72 or 3, last 50 years alone, India has lost 200 languages. And 193 languages are on, Indian languages are on UNESCO's list of endangered languages. They are nearing extinction. The world over, language death is a huge issue. Languages are dying. I told you, 15 days, one language per fortnight. And there's a grave, real danger that by the turn of the century, imagine from 7,000 to 200, what is the amount of human knowledge and human history and human memories and huge parts of human, collective human global consciousness is going to be lost forever. This is a monumental loss. We can't even begin to calculate what it really means, the extent of loss. Now let's come to India. India, as you know, and I'm sure all teachers have seen the world, you have all traveled abroad, and you are aware that the world looks upon India in a slightly special manner. For the world, India is not just another country out of the nearly 200 countries we have today. India has been and still is slightly special for the world. India's expectations of the world are different from in world's expectations from, say, Sri Lanka or from Vietnam or from Korea or China or even Pakistan or our neighbors. Even Europe, if I may say so. There is something in India, something in Indian, so-called Indian culture that the world acknowledges is special. And it needs understanding, it needs special respect. What is that? I don't know if you felt this when you went abroad, whether India and Indians are looked upon in this manner also by some. I don't know. I have felt it. So for the world, India matters slightly more than any other country or other countries of our size and our problems matter. That indefinable quality of Indianness, which remains very difficult to pinpoint. Some call it the spiritual side, spiritual dimension of India, India's spiritualism, spirituality, our scriptures or our wisdom, what we call in Hindi or Sanskrit, pragya, the Bharatiya pragya, wisdom. Wisdom is different from intelligence. Pragya is different from buddhi. And as Jaya can tell you, the buddhi and chitta and ahankar and pragya and gyan, these are all very interesting, related but different dimensions. My worry is, friends, for the last 20, 25 years, and actually it started in Mumbai when I was living there over 25 years ago, when I started observing the way my daughter's language was developing. I'm a Hindi wala. I belong to Lucknow in UP, so I'm a proper Hindi wala. And I've learned English consciously. I never studied in an English medium school. Luckily, I was spared. I'm so thankful to God and life that I was spared that atrocity. Trust me, I believe it's an atrocity for a child to begin life in an English medium school and in an English medium atmosphere. I'll explain later why. So I observed that slowly, I have two daughters. And by observing the language of my daughters and their friends, and the children of my friends, our social circle, and it suddenly struck me that these guys are, when they grow up, they are not going to know any Indian language well. Not only that they won't know it well, they won't like it well. They won't love the language, their language, as I do, as my generation does, as I'm sure Dilip Patel loves Gujarati. Their relationship with their language, with the language of their what we call heritage language of their family, their parents, their relationship is going to be very different from our relationship. And that relationship is not going to be that of love, respect, and prestige. It suddenly became clear to me that this was something huge. This was a huge loss. I could not accept it without a great deal of pain. It remains very, very painful for me that my daughters, even though because of my pressure, they speak Hindi fairly well, they don't read it. And they find it difficult to write in it. They can't. And they don't want to. That is the biggest issue. They don't want to. They don't like to. They may have to. That's another matter. And I'm sure you as teachers, if you scratch your children and ask them about these issues, I would love to know what you come up with. Whether you find that your students really like, love, and respect their heritage languages, languages of their homes, of their parents and grandparents. I would really love to know. My hunch is they don't. They know those languages because they are spoken at home. They have to speak to their parents or grandparents, and they have to use that language in society, in their own social circle and community. But use is not love. Their real love today, friends, is English. And it also tells me that this process is going to grow. It's already accelerating at a breathtaking speed. You're all, I'm sure you all are teaching in English medium schools. Maybe you are proud of that too. Nothing to be proud of, actually, in my view, if you permit me. Nevertheless, we know our society values it, that places on English. Anyway, that's what I'm up against. What it is doing is, and this thought process led me to the conclusion that by year 2050, perhaps India would no longer be Bharat. It will only be India, and 90 to 95% of those Indians will be using for all serious purposes of life only one language, English, for reading, writing, and speaking. They might still use Marathi or Bangla, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Punjabi, Sindhi in very light circumstances, in very light ways, for little chit chat among friends. I guess films will still be made in Hindi and our other languages. Literature will still be written in our languages. And swear words, galis, they would certainly be in our languages. Because galis and languages are, they're really fun. English doesn't have that quite that doesn't hit, it doesn't give you the kick. Maybe it will change too, I don't know. But for all practical purposes, all Indian languages, I'm afraid, will become marginal, increasingly marginalized, impoverished, enfeebled, and neglected. And they will become the languages of the very, very poor and the most unfortunate. Those who still, in say from 30 years from now, they'll be so unfortunate as to miss English medium education completely. Because by then, I believe 99% schools, primary schools, would have turned English medium schools, as is happening in across the country, if you look around, wherever you are right now, you will find that language medium schools are being either converted into English medium schools, or they are being closed down because there is no students. No one wants to send their wards, their children, to a language medium school across the country. There is no demand for any language except English. And in today's world, anything for which there is no demand cannot survive. It is demand that ensures that whether it's a product, a service, or a language, that it survives and it grows. The only condition for growth of any entity is demand and use. The uses and demand for languages is going down. The domains of language use, what we say, the domains of language use, of Indian language use, are being reduced. They're becoming smaller and smaller in number. There's something called a register of a language. Every language has different registers, various registers. So there is an education register. Education, pedagogy has a different language of its own. It has a terminology which is its own terminology peculiar to education, teaching, pedagogy, right? That is a register. It is different from normal language, whether Hindi or English or any language. Science has its own register. So the language of physics or chemistry or zoology or any branch of science is different from a normal register of the same language. The language's law is very different from the language of literature. And the language of literature is very different from the language of medicine or engineering or whatever. You get the idea. So these are different domains and different registers of the same language. So if a language is growing, it means the domains of use of it, that language, are growing, and its registers are growing. What do we find in Indian languages? Wherever you are, whatever is your native language, your first language, your second language, your local language, you look around, you will find that increasingly the domains of use of your language, your native language, are going down, and they are those domains are being filled by English. English is fulfilling and playing those roles that were previously played by different languages. So our children, through our English medium education system, of which all of you are part, and my children are a part, we are making our children increasingly monolingual. Because being bilingual or multilingual means to have more or less the same amount of facility in a language or in several languages. But if I know 10% of Hindi and 90% of English, or I use 20 or 30% of Marathi or Gujarati in Mumbai, and the rest is English, then I'm not really a bilingual, because my mastery over these languages is different. The ratio is different. So slowly, gradually, you will notice that your children, your students, and my children are becoming monolingual. Now, what does monolingual mean? What does it mean to be a monolingual and a multilingual or a bi or trilingual person? As I said perhaps earlier, a language is a word in itself. If you know only one language, your word is limited to that language alone. If you know two languages, you have access to two different words. Three languages, three words. and they all coexist. And because you keep moving from one word to the other, your cognitive abilities are sharper. And all this is part of, I believe, education psychology and the way children learn. It's part of your curriculum. You must have all studied it. It's all across, every educationist knows these basic facts. That a multilingual child in a multilingual atmosphere is much better for a child's growth of cognitive abilities. But what do we find in our schools? Are our schools really multilingual? They aren't even bilingual. We have a situation where children are punished or pulled up, humiliated for using their own languages at school. They are supposed to use only English in school. There are explicit posters across the schools. I have found so many, all over the country. It's a disgrace. It goes against the basic tenets of your own pedagogy of education. Yet it not just prevails, it's growing. I just don't get it. UNESCO has been advocating for decades about multilingualism, the critical need of multilingual children, multilingual people, multilingualism for the world. Yet, we are doing just the reverse. I don't know why. I know why. So the net result of all this this phenomenon, friends, this Anglicization, increasing Anglicization of Indian education and Indian society, at least the elite society, the so-called middle class, upper middle class, and the aspiring classes, is that we are on the brink of losing our Indianness in the next 20, 30, 40 years at the most. Remember 2050, 30 years from now. Now, what is India if not its history, its cultural diversity, its music, its art forms, its cuisine, its languages, its literature, all that is contained, its so-called great spiritual wisdom or even empirical wisdom and knowledge that exist in our languages. India, the history of Indian culture and the treasures of Indian culture have been created by and conveyed until today and given to us, handed over to us through our languages alone, not through English. India, 300 years ago, by the year 1700, Indian share in world trade was 25%. It is barely 1% now. Who created those riches? Which language created that rich India that everyone wanted to either rule or loot? We have been attacked by over centuries, over millennia, at least two millennia, we have been constantly attacked by outside forces. Why? For our riches, for our gold and our spices and our money. The first wave of knowledge globalization started from India. We gave mathematics and the zero to the world. If there was no India, there would be no computer language of binaries. And this whole fascinating world of modern science and technology that we see. And you know what? All that knowledge, our metallurgical knowledge, there's something called ethno-mineral knowledge, ethno-botanical knowledge, ethno-zoological knowledge, ethno-climatic knowledge, ethno-biological knowledge which is contained in our languages. Not just us, every human society and community across the world had that innate wisdom which is born of living in a particular place and time for a long time, and you develop a certain wisdom and an understanding of your immediate environment. This road roller of globalization, of industrialization and Anglicization, Westernization or Americanization, call it what you want, is flattening the world. It is flattening India and its Indian culture. And my fear is, do we want an India where everyone speaks English and uses only English? Will that be India? Will there really be Indians? I don't think so. So the things that the world respects us for, and the answers that the world is looking upon us to provide, even today, where will they come from? Because so far as science and technology are concerned, we are only importing from the rest of the world, from the West. What are we exporting? What are we giving to the world? What can we give to the world? We have no great Nobel Prizes for science to speak of. Israel with 90 lakh population, just 9 million. 2.5 Israels are equal to the size of Mumbai, and 2.5 to Delhi alone. Israel exports technology and sells technology and the very, very high-tech technology to the whole world. To even its enemies go and buy defense technology and arms from them. India, one of the world's oldest civilizations with a 10,000-year history of agriculture, is learning modern agriculture from Israel, a country which is 1 year shorter than us in history. It didn't exist until 1948. There was no Israel till 1948. So it became a country in 48, 1 year after we became an independent nation, even though we are over 6,000 to 7,000 years old as a country, as a culture, as a nation. Now that Israel, what did it do? When it was formed, it had a huge decision to make. The Jews until then had been spread all over the world. They were living in different cultures, different countries, speaking different languages, because they didn't have a country of their own. So when they had a country of their own and they all came from all parts of the world and settled there, that they have to decide, okay, what is going to be our language? Because they didn't have a common language except Hebrew, which, as it happens, had been declared dead for 2,000 years. It was a liturgical language until then. Liturgical meaning a religious language of religious rituals alone. For all practical purposes of the modern life, it was a dead language for 2,000 years, because Jewish history is 2,000 years. Yet they decided that Hebrew is going to be our national language. So along with all the pangs and problems of creating a new country and a new nationhood, they also had to develop an almost dead language for modern life, for everything. And today Israel has over 10, I think, Nobel Prizes in science and modern knowledge, with 90 lakh population, and we, with 130 crore people, don't even have 3 or 4 science Nobels by Indian citizens. Indians settled abroad, citizens of different countries, have won Nobel Prizes. but as Indian citizens, maybe 3. That, my friends, is the power of original thinking in your own language. That is the power and the example of originality. English, for most of us, is an acquired language. It is our second language. And a second language, it takes a very, very long time for us to be really so good at it that it becomes natural for us, that we start thinking originally in that acquired language. It takes a long time and long practice. Many of us have done it. Jaya is an example. I'm an example. All of you are examples, I guess. But think of, and English, how many people, what is the percentage of English speaking people in India? I wish I could be there in front of you so I could ask you and you could raise hands or answer me. Because that's what I ask everywhere.
So
Let me
people
tell
can
you.
still type. People can type. Let's see some answers.
Oh
Please
yes,
repeat
let's
your question.
let's
Please
do that.
repeat your
Let's do that.
question.
Please raise hands.
So please repeat your question and people can type their answers in the chat box.
What is the percentage of English speaking, English using people in India? The percentage, the ratio. Okay, you can give your answers. Let me give you the okay, 5. Dr. Parekh says 5. Okay, Vice Principal 10%. Any other guests? 40%. Oh wow, 20%. Around 20%. 25, 12, 10, 12, 30, 30, 35, 20. Okay. All right. Enough. Thank you. Thank you very much. Maximum 5%. Okay. Someone says maximum 5%. Well, friends, according to most knowledgeable estimates, it's between 10 to 12%, according to the Census of India, who use English as second language. This includes people who use English as first language, who are about 2.5 lakh alone, who have entered English as their mother tongue in the census. For the rest, it is the second language or the third language. So first, second, third, all together is about 12% at best. This, in spite of the fact, okay, sir, Ashok Godara says 10%. All right, you are close. 10% Walas were close. So congratulations. So what happens to the rest 90% or 82%, 88%? What kind of lives do they lead? Because this 10 to 12%, let's fix it at 10%. They lead a different life. Their inner lives are different. They live in a different world, the world of English. I mean, with all its given all dimensions of way of living, lifestyle, aspirations, homes, cuisine, ways of dressing, and social lives, etc. Whatever you know what it means. So what happens to, what about the 90%? What do we really know, and do we care to know about them? What goes on inside their minds, in their lives? What do they think when they interact with us? Do you know what happens to a language alone, a person having to face or come to be among English-speaking people? What happens to that person? Are you aware of the humiliation that person goes through? The feeling of smallness that he or she experiences? The feeling of exclusion and inadequacy? Are we sensitive to that? This is 90% of India. The truth is, many of us are quite pleased with this situation because it gives us a sense of a kick of superiority, being superior. You may not acknowledge it, but it happens with most people. I've talked to children, I've scratched their surface, really got them to open up, and they admit that they cannot make friends with people who don't speak English. They cannot become close to or intimate with, they can't create good friendships or relationships with people who don't speak the same language with the same elan, the same style, if you like. To the 90% of Indians, English is an exclusionary force. It excludes them from this elite group of English-speaking people. And it gives these 10% a sense of superiority over the rest of India. To me, that is cruelty on a national scale. It is a disgrace and shameful for us as a society. This is a huge, big division, the language divide in India. This language divide and this language decides who will grow beyond a point and who will not. Who will be respected in society and who will not. Who will be given access to elite and higher circles and higher jobs and higher opportunities and who will not. To me, this is unacceptable. It makes my head, my blood boil. I don't suffer from it, though I have suffered it. I've suffered the humiliation of not knowing English well enough in certain situations, and sometime or the other in my adolescence, I don't think I decided, okay, I'm going to master this language, and I learned it consciously, and as many of you have learned, I guess. But I haven't forgotten those experiences, that humiliation, that hurt I felt, that smallness that I felt. And I see millions of students and young Indians suffering every day because of just one issue, English, lack of English language. Because the English haves make the English have-nots feel small. They don't do it consciously, it happens automatically. What could be a greater disservice and what could be more debilitating for the growth of a nation like India? Talent is equally divided, equally distributed. Talent is born anywhere in all languages, and whether wherever. Talent has nothing to do with class, prosperity, education, language. You know that. But does all Indian talent, all young Indians born in remote parts or special parts, do they get the same opportunities for growth and development in life? No. They may have a greater talent than your children or my children. They may be harder working than our children. They may be sharper than our children. There may be geniuses born there among them. All that talent, that genius, that potential genius and potential fruits of human talent and hard work and perseverance, and all that goes waste. This is unacceptable. So this is one part of the problem, the English problem. The other part, as I said, is the imminent loss of Indianness because of English. Because we may think that language has nothing to do with Indianness, with culture, but culture cannot survive without language, friends, period. There is no debate on it anymore in the in the world. No culture can survive without its language or languages, as is the case with India. Imagine an India where no one will be able to read the Gita or the Mahabharata or the Ramayana or Tirukkural or Narsi Mehta or Tukaram and Gyaneshwari. They won't be able to access it, they won't be able to read it, and they won't need the field to read it. That's the biggest loss. The biggest loss is not knowing what one has lost. That is the biggest loss in life. Not to know what I have lost. I was given huge, immense wealth, cultural wealth as my heritage. I inherited that, and I have lost it without knowing what it was. That's the cultural loss, civilizational loss I'm talking about. That, friends, will happen, and it is happening every single day in your classrooms and in your homes. Our children are very smart. They are actually global citizens. Even today, they know more about America and Europe, not Europe so much, but America, than we do. But they know more about America than they know about India. Their idols, their role models, the music they like, the cuisine, the food they like, the dresses they like, the fashion they like. I don't have to tell you what it is. I'm in the same boat as you are. And lastly, I'll now finish. How much time do I have, Jaya?
How much time do you need, sir?
No, you tell me. What is a good time? I'll finish in that.
A few more minutes, couple of minutes.
All right. The last point, friends, is something that you as teachers know already. That it is possible for a child to be multilingual, that it is possible to have multilingual classrooms. It is possible and eminently desirable to have multilingual classrooms and multilingual class experience, multilingual pedagogy, multilingual teachers. The cognitive outcomes, the learning outcomes of multilingual classrooms have proven to be better than monolingual classrooms. It's all there with you. So why don't you implement it? Why don't you do something about it? Because if all our schools, the English medium schools, don't change and don't implement this, they will be party to this imminent loss of Indianness and Indian culture. Actually, it is the murder of Indian culture, if I may say so, if you will pardon me. It is unintentional murder, but it is murder nevertheless. So it is imperative, friends, for India, for Bharat and Indianness to survive, and not just to survive, but to thrive and grow, that we raise the next generations as multilingual Indians who are rooted in their soil, in their cultural, civilizational soil and foundation. Yet they are global citizens. They know not just English, but any language that the world needs, that they would need to grow and make a mark in the world. Indian talent is not an issue. The same Indian talent goes abroad and it shines and dazzles the world. But when it comes to India, we kill that talent. So please, it's my earnest request to you, appeal to you to look at these aspects of language and your teaching, your work, because you are, friends, the last hope for humanity. Thank you.
I have no words to thank you, sir. It definitely has made us all more conscious of the role that we play, and also conscious of how important preservation of cultures is, and for that, how important languages are. Multilingualism, I'm happy to see that the thoughts that Sir has shared have already been officially, formally brought out to all of us through the NEP as well. And like Sir said, it is possible to teach in schools, not solely relying on English as the medium of instruction. In fact, I would like to cite a statement from the NEP itself. All languages will be taught with high quality to all students. A language does not need to be the medium of instruction for it to be taught and learned well. I think this is where that confusion arises, that if we want our children to know English, which helps them settle well in the global world, in the global scenario, can be learnt only if the medium of instruction in the school is English. And this is where we are going wrong. And Sir has given enough evidences right from the past where India had that glory we are so proud of, which it achieved not because of its dependence on any foreign language. It was all because of being rooted in our Indianness, which came from the languages like Sanskrit and the other Indian languages, because this is how the culture gets ingrained in us through our mother tongue. I don't have that expertise or authority to talk on the languages the way Sir has said, and in front of Sir especially. So rather than putting my thoughts here, I would just like my friends to know that we have to translate this consciousness that we have experienced through this talk into action. The proposed activities like Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat by the NEP can actually help us weave in this sense, bring in this sense of pride for our languages. Sir spoke about love. What's a bigger question mark is the children won't feel the need to know their languages. And what we have lost without even knowing what we have lost is such a great loss. So, that is something which is going to very strongly, get stuck here in my mind, and I will definitely do something about it. I promise my friends also will think about how they can create multilingual classrooms. Bring in, suppose if you do some games, it's a pedagogy that you're following, a game-based, activity-based pedagogy. Why does it have to be a game which has to be spoken in English, where the students have to follow some guidelines in English or have to speak something in English? It can be a game from our culture, from here. I have not played those games or seen the children playing those games which I used to play in my childhood. So that's lost. My daughter doesn't know. I'm sure you all are also experiencing it. So it is just one example. Why not the Indian arts being brought in? Somebody mentioned about foreign languages being taught, but not the Indian languages. So yes, we are culprits. I am a culprit. The kind of culture we have brought into our schools, for whatever reason we say, this needs to change, because it has been proved the intelligence doesn't depend on being proficient in English. There is no such connection. Your progress in this world doesn't just depend on how good are you at English, and you can still master English on any other foreign language rather than solely depending on it. Why don't we open new worlds? Like Sir said, one language is like opening a new world to yourself. Let's open more worlds, and let's not just restrict ourselves to one world of English language or such foreign languages. There is a comment from Ms. Anupma. May I suggest one simple solution for increased multilingualism? Yes, ma'am. Please unmute yourself. I'm so glad that you are with us here today. Anupma, ma'am, could you please unmute yourself?
Namaste, ji.
Namaste, ma'am. Namaste.
Very simple solution which I see has worked very well for me. मैं अपने सारे बच्चों को बोलती हूँ कि जिस भी भाषा का प्रयोग कर रहे हो करो, लेकिन इतना बस याद रखो कि जिस भाषा से बात शुरू कर रहे हो उसी भाषा में उसका अंत करो. Do not use 2 different or 3 different languages for one sentence. और मैं आपको सबको लिख के देती हूँ कि अगर आप ये छोटा सा खेल अपने घरों में खेलेंगे ना, बहुत मजा आएगा. कितनी बार ऐसा होता है कि माता पिता एक मिनट सोचते रहते हैं कि अरे इसको हिंदी में कैसे बोलें या इसको अंग्रेजी में कैसे बोलें. Give it a try. You will all send me a message saying, oh, what a wonderful idea.
बहुत धन्यवाद अनुपमा जी, बहुत अच्छा तरीका बताया.
Very simple. Just remember SOLO. SOLO. Sentence 1, language 1.
देव साहब आपने जो
जी
आपने जो इंफॉर्मेशन दी है वो
जी
बहुत ही एप्ट, बहुत ही परफेक्ट दी है साहब।
जी
और जो उसमें एग्जाम्पल आपने इजराइल का एग्जाम्पल दिया वो तो एकदम इट वाज अ सिक्सर ऑन दिस पर्टिकुलर आस्पेक्ट। मेरा डाउट है सर, क्लियर माय डाउट, मेरा एक बहुत बड़ा कश्मकश चलती है
जी
ये। मैं भी आप इस तरह से बात की है संस्कृत को या अपने मातृभाषा को वेटेज देना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन सिस्टम उसे इस तरह से एक्सेप्ट नहीं करता है। और ना इस तरह से इन द सेंस आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट माय किड्स आल्सो। नाउ आई वांट दैट द किड्स शुड लर्न, so I want a practical solution how I can make it implement that particular stuff, how we can make them that Sanskrit, if ever whatever language apart from English they want to take, how we can motivate them to take it to the next level. System doesn't allow. I personally feel that.
जी, ठीक कह रहे हैं आप। सारी व्यवस्था तो, सारी समस्या और जिम्मेदारी तो इस व्यवस्था की ही है, और मैं इस व्यवस्था की ही बात कर रहा था। तो हम
सर
जी बोलिए।
हम घर पे या किस, सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट, हम घर पे बोलो, हम एज ए इंडिविजुअल अभी सिस्टम को तो इतने जल्दी बदल नहीं सकते। एज ए इंडिविजुअल आपके क्या सुझाव रहेंगे जो मैंने अपने यहाँ इम्प्लीमेंट करना चाहिए जो कि मेरे लिए बहुत फायदेमंद रहेगा ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम?
सर, मैं पहला तो सुझाव यही दूंगा कि आप अपनी भाषा से शुरू करिए, अपनी हिंदी से। जैसे आप अभी हिंदी जो बोल रहे हैं, इसको अगर आपको भी अनुपमा जी की बात माननी है तो आपको अपनी इस हिंदी को बदलना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपकी अपनी हिंदी में देखिए कि कितने दूसरे अंग्रेजी के कितने शब्द आ रहे हैं। तो जब हम सहज रूप से और आत्मविश्वास के साथ जब हिंदी बोलें तो सिर्फ हिंदी बोलें, अंग्रेजी बोलें या मराठी बोलें, बांग्ला बोलें तो सिर्फ वो बोलें और अच्छी बोलें, तो उसका एक स्वाभाविक असर बच्चों पे पड़ता है। मैंने ये अनुभव किया है, क्योंकि मैं तो 99% हिंदी में ही बात करता हूँ सब जगह। कि मैं म्यूट कर सकते हैं?
Smita ma'am, please mute your mic, please.
थोड़ा म्यूट कर लें। जी, धन्यवाद। तो मेरा अपना अनुभव ये है कि बहुत सारे मैं अंग्रेजी के मंचों पर भी हिंदी ही बोलता हूँ ज्यादातर। उसमें CII और फिक्की के मंच पे भी हिंदी में ही बात करता हूँ, जब तक बहुत जरूरी ना हो। तो लोग मुझे आके कहते हैं कि बहुत दिनों बाद अच्छी हिंदी सुनी आपसे, और बोलिए। मैं पहले पूछता हूँ लोगों से कि हिंदी में बोलूं कि अंग्रेजी में, लोग कहते हैं हिंदी में बोलिए। तो कोई भी भाषा हो आपकी, मेरा जीवन का अनुभव ये बताता है कि जब हम अच्छी भाषा बोलते हैं तो उसका एक निश्चित अच्छा असर पड़ता है लोगों पर, लोगों को वो अच्छी लगती है।
जी।
तो जब एक मिनट, जब हम सब अधिकार संपन्न लोग हैं, यानी हम सब जो शिक्षक है वो तो दोहरा अधिकार संपन्न होता है। एक तो वो घर में उसका अधिकार होता ही है पिता या माँ के रूप में, और कक्षा में तो वो बिल्कुल मतलब माँ बाप से भी बड़ा होता है बच्चों के लिए। आप तो जानते हैं कि कम से कम प्राथमिक शिक्षा में 5वीं 6वीं 7वीं तक तो बच्चों के लिए माँ बाप की भी कीमत नहीं होती शिक्षक के सामने, वो शिक्षक की बात ज्यादा मानते हैं। तो शिक्षकों का जो प्रभाव है बच्चों पर कक्षा में और कक्षा के बाहर की जो बातचीत आप उनसे करते हैं, वो तो इतना गहरा होता है और वो सारा जीवन चलता है। तो अगर आपसे अच्छी मराठी सुनेंगे तो मराठी के प्रति उनका भाव भी अच्छा होगा, या गुजराती सुनेंगे तो गुजराती के प्रति उनके मन में आदर, सम्मान और लगाव बनेगा। लेकिन आप अगर टूटी फूटी हिंदी बोलेंगे, टूटी फूटी मराठी या गुजराती बोलेंगे जिसमें अंग्रेजी के शब्द ऐसे ही आ रहे होंगे, तो जो भाव पड़ता है ना मनोवैज्ञानिक रूप से अप्रत्यक्ष, वो ये कि अंग्रेजी इसमें खास है क्योंकि अपनी अंग्रेजी को ये अपनी हिंदी में डालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो जरूर ये अंग्रेजी जो है ये जरा ऊंची भाषा है। तो ये जो एक हम जो संदेश देते हैं, जो हमें भी नहीं पता चलता कि हमारी अपनी, एक मैं बात कहना भूल गया, एक वाक्य सुन लीजिए और याद कर लीजिए उसको। हम समझते हैं कि हम भाषा बोलते हैं, असलियत यह है कि हमारी भाषा हमको बोलती है, हमारी भाषा हमको खोलती है। और अगर हम सावधान नहीं हैं तो दूसरा अगर कोई पढ़ने वाला होगा तो वो 2 मिनट हमको सुनकर ये जान लेगा कि हमारे यहाँ क्या है और हमारे यहाँ क्या है। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। अगर आपने इसको याद रखा तो आप देखिएगा कि आपकी अपनी भाषा बदल जाएगी, क्योंकि आपकी भाषा आपको खोल रही है, आपकी भाषा आपको खोल रही है।
जी सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। बहुत ही सही सुझाव रहा सर, विल ट्राई टू इम्प्लीमेंट। थैंक यू।
जी धन्यवाद। कोई और सवाल, ये बातचीत?
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. What I understood, sir, is that our language becomes our identity. When you said भाषा हमें बोल रही है या हमें
No,
खोल
no,
रही
no,
है,
no, no. It becomes a window to our inner being.
right?
Our language is an X-ray that the right person can read and locate us and find out what we are made of, what is inside our mind, what is in us. So our language reveals us. We think we use language, but our language, we are revealing ourselves through our language, through the words we used and the way we use them.
Absolutely. Beautifully said, sir. I'm also very happy to just bring to your knowledge that we have the chairman of Ramratna Vidya Mandir, Mr. Kholeji, also with us. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Wonderful.
Would you like to comment on the talk today?
Well, thank you, Jayaji. It's my pleasure actually. It was quite enlightening and a lot of thoughts we have to take back to our schools. And definitely the experience is exactly what Shri Rahulji is saying, that students are very comfortable in speaking in their mother tongues. And the new education policy also says that you should be teaching younger kids in their mother tongues, or maybe the languages of what they speak. So I think that the session was fantastic. I really enjoyed it very much, and definitely will take back some points to our schools.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Jaya,
And
can you?
the whole team is with you on this. Yes, Rahul sir, you were saying something.
Can you give me 2 minutes? There is an experience I want to relate.
Yes, please, sir. Go ahead.
अब मैं हिंदी में बात करता हूँ।
बहुत बेहतर, चलिए।
दोस्तों, आप लोगों ने क्योंकि हिंदी भी मैं ठीक ठाक बोल लेता हूँ।
आप जो मर्जी बोलिए, कोई भाषा के सामने जब कोई हिंदी में वाचन शुरू करता है ना,
जी,
तो उसका आनंद ही अलग है।
वाह वाह, धन्यवाद। अनुपमा दीदी की जय हो। तो यहाँ पर आप सब जानते हैं, दिल्ली में एक सरदार पटेल विद्यालय है, जो दिल्ली और कम से कम उत्तर भारत में तो जो सर्वश्रेष्ठ विद्यालय हैं उनमें से एक माना जाता है। वहाँ भी बहुत बड़े बड़े लोग कतार में आते हैं अपने बच्चों के लिए। तो मैं उनका थोड़ा मित्र हूँ, उनकी प्रिंसिपल। उनको भी एक दिन जया उनको बुलाना चाहिए, अनुराधा जोशी जी को आप बुलाइए, क्योंकि सरदार पटेल विद्यालय की नीति है कि वो 5वीं कक्षा तक उनका माध्यम हिंदी है, और उनके बच्चे इंग्लिश में या किसी भी चीज में किसी भी बड़े से बड़े स्कूल से कहीं से भी पीछे नहीं है, आगे ही रहते हैं। तो उन्होंने ये कैसे किया है, ये आप उनको बुला के बहुत व्यवहारिक तरीके से समझ सकती हैं, अनुराधा जोशी से। तो क्या उनका सरदार पटेल विद्यालय की एक ग्रामीण शाखा है दिल्ली के एक गांव में। तो उन्होंने मुझे एक दो बार बुलाया 26 जनवरी वगैरह पे। तो उसके बाद एक बार उनका फोन आया कि हम एक समस्या हमको हो रही है, शायद आप मदद कर सकें। तो ये जो ग्रामीण शाखा है वो उस गांव में, दिल्ली के गांव, जो लोग दिल्ली से परिचित हैं वो जानते हैं कि दिल्ली के भीतर जो गांव हैं वो गांव वाले वैसे तो कहने को गांव में रहते हैं, गांव वाले हैं, लेकिन वो सब करोड़पति हैं, क्योंकि दिल्ली में जमीन की कीमत मुंबई वाले से ज्यादा कौन समझ सकता है जमीन की कीमत क्या है। तो ये सब लोग सब करोड़पति हो गए, कुछ तो अरबपति हो गए, मतलब 100 करोड़ से ऊपर वाले भी, लेकिन करोड़पति तो अधिकांश हैं। लेकिन उनकी जो जीवन शैली है, और चूंकि ये बहुत झटके से हुआ, ये 5-10 साल में ही अचानक गुड़गांव और दिल्ली के गांव ही बदल गए, तो पैसे के साथ जो शिक्षा, संस्कृति और बाकी जो जीवन शैली के परिवर्तन आते हैं वो उतने नहीं आए हैं इस समाज में। तो ये जो ग्रामीण शाखा है, इसमें ज्यादातर बच्चे ऐसे अमीर ग्रामीण परिवारों से आने वाले बच्चे हैं। तो ये जो उनके माँ बाप थे, उनका इस विद्यालय की समिति पर और रोज लड़ाई उनसे होती रहती थी। बहुत नाराज थे कि वो कहते थे हमें अपने बच्चों के लिए हिंदी माध्यम नहीं चाहिए, हमें बच्चों के लिए इंग्लिश मीडियम चाहिए। स्कूल मजबूर था क्योंकि उनकी नीति है। उन्होंने कहा हम अपनी नीति नहीं बदल सकते आपके लिए। हमारे जब दिल्ली में हमारे जो श्रेष्ठतम विद्यालय है वहां पर हिंदी पढ़ा रहे हैं, हिंदी माध्यम है, तो यहाँ तो हम सवाल ही नहीं करते। तो ये एक समस्या हो गई थी उनके लिए, और मतलब उनको लगा कि शायद काफी बड़ी संख्या में बच्चे छोड़ देंगे। तो संयोग ऐसा हुआ कि मुझसे उन्होंने बात की, तो मैंने कहा अच्छा ऐसा करते हैं, आप उनके सारे जो अभिभावक हैं, पालक हैं, उनकी एक बैठक बुला लीजिए। तो उन्होंने करीब 60-70 पालक आए, उसमें दादियाँ, नानियाँ, बाबा, दादा ये भी थे, काका थे, चाचा थे, माएँ, युवा माएँ थी, और सब तरह के लोग थे, पिता भी थे। तो उनसे करीब 1.5 घंटा मेरी बात हुई, और शुरुआत वहीं से हुई थी कि हमारे बच्चों को तो इंग्लिश चाहिए, इंग्लिश में ही भविष्य बनता है, सारे बच्चों को देखिए इंग्लिश नहीं बच्चों को मिलेगी तो हम नहीं चाहते उनको यहाँ पढ़ाना, वो सब जगह उनको प्राइवेट स्कूल में तो वो सब ही इंग्लिश पढ़ाते हैं। लेकिन 1.5 घंटे की मेहनत के बाद मैं उन्हें ये मनवाने और समझाने में सफल हुआ कि अभी आप इनको अपनी मातृभाषा में यानी हिंदी में ही पढ़ने दीजिए, ये बच्चों के लिए और आपके परिवार के लिए अच्छा है, क्योंकि अंग्रेजी तो ये अच्छी सीख ही लेंगे, उसमें तो कोई शक ही नहीं है। 6ठी से इनकी अंग्रेजी शुरू हो जाएगी, बहुत अच्छी शुरू हो जाएगी। सरदार पटेल विद्यालय तो बहुत प्रसिद्ध विद्यालय है। लेकिन अगर ये अभी से आपके ये बच्चे हिंदी छोड़कर इंग्लिश में आ गए तो वो आपके प्रति उनकी निगाह बदल जाएगी, आपके घरों में उनका और आपका संवाद बदल जाएगा, उसका स्वाद बदल जाएगा। अपने बाबा, दादा, नानी आदि से उनका संवाद कम हो जाएगा, उतनी इज्जत वो नहीं देंगे, उनका संसार बदल जाएगा। मैंने एक अलग तरीके से उनको समझाया, और मैंने अंत में एक बात कही जो उनकी तुरंत समझ में आ गई कि भाई क्या बच्चे के लिए माँ के दूध से बढ़िया कोई आहार होता है? कोई बेबी फूड पाउडर, कोई बाजार का जो बाहर का दूध होता है, वो क्या माँ के दूध की बराबरी कर सकता है बच्चे के लिए? नहीं। तो उनका वैसे ही मातृभाषा है। माँ का दूध जो बच्चे के शरीर के निर्माण और उसकी पुष्टि में भूमिका निभाता है, वही भूमिका उसकी बौद्धिक और संवेगात्मक विकास में यानी कॉग्निटिव विकास में मातृभाषा निभाती। और आपके बच्चे अगर अपनी घर की हिंदी में ही पढ़ाई शुरू करेंगे, पहले 5 साल सीखेंगे, तो उनकी नींव ज्यादा मजबूत होगी, और वो अंग्रेजी नहीं दुनिया की कोई भी भाषा सीख सकेंगे, और वो आपसे भी सामाजिक रूप से भी करीब बने रहेंगे, आपसे अलग नहीं होंगे। ये बात उनको समझ में आई, और वहां पर उन्होंने फिर वो आंदोलन उनका खत्म हुआ। मैं ये इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि ये संभव है कि हम पालकों को समझा सकते हैं ये बात। आप पे से हर शिक्षक और प्रधानाचार्य ये समझा सकता है माँ बाप को, क्योंकि माँ बाप की ओर से समस्या होगी, रेजिस्टेंस होगी, क्योंकि उनके दिमाग में भी ये भरा हुआ है कि अंग्रेजी के बगैर कैसे काम चलेगा, बच्चे पिछड़ जाएंगे। ये एक राष्ट्रीय मूर्खता इस पूरे देश के एक एक व्यक्ति में भर दी गई, क्षमा कीजिएगा। It is nothing but a nationwide stupidity of the highest order. और आप शिक्षकों से ज्यादा इसको कौन जानता है कि बच्चे के संवेगात्मक विकास के लिए ज्यादा अच्छी भाषा कौन सी है? लेकिन होता कुछ उल्टा है। तो सर, मैं अध्यक्ष जी आपसे अनुरोध करता हूं कि जरा आप अपने प्रभाव का इस्तेमाल कीजिए, और जरा इस बात को अपनी फैकल्टी के साथ, छात्र शिक्षकों के साथ थोड़ा, शायद 2-3 बार आपको बैठना पड़ेगा, लेकिन कुछ नई शुरुआत करिए। मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि आपके विद्यालय की छवि, उसके आउटकम, उसके नतीजे भी बदल जाएंगे, और आप एक आदर्श और रोल मॉडल बन के दूसरे विद्यालयों के लिए उभर सकते हैं। ये आपके हाथ में।
सर, एक ही चीज कहना चाहूंगा
जी।
पहले तो हमारी जया जी जो है उनका अभिनंदन, ये इतने अच्छे यानी विषय लेती है, और जैसे आपको भी आज बुलाया तो बहुत ही बहुत अच्छा विषय था। मैं भी इनकी आरती उतारने वाला हूँ। हाँ। और दूसरा ये कि मैं काफी आशावादी हूँ। जैसे 1950 आपने कहा, मेरे ख्याल से तो 1950 में जो इंग्लिश का जो बूथ है वो काफी कम हो गया होगा, और मुझे तो लगता है कि अपनी मातृभाषा में और इसमें ही ज्यादा से ज्यादा अधिक से लोग बातें करना और आगे उसके ऊपर चर्चा करना, क्योंकि जैसे आप अभी सब जगह प्रसार कर रहे हैं, वैसे ऐसे बहुत से लोग हैं, और बहुत से ऐसे जो लोग हैं ऊपर जो अधिकारों पर बैठे हैं, अधिकार पदों पर, वो भी अभी बहुत जगह संस्कृत का अभ्यास यानी ये करते हैं, संस्कृत में उसका प्रचार करते हैं, बातें कभी ऐसी संस्कृत में करते हैं, या हिंदी बहुत जगह बोलते हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये एक अभी माहौल अच्छा बनता जा रहा है। तो बहुत ही मैं तो आशावादी हूँ कि उल्टा 1950 में ये सारा बदल जाएगा चित्र।
2050 में।
हाँ सॉरी 2050 में 2050 में।
आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर, जैसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं। लेकिन
आप कभी वापस हम ये इस विषय में अगर हम हमारे से और अगर कुछ करना हो तो आपका सहयोग इसी तरह बना रहे। जया जी आपको कांटेक्ट करेंगी।
जी बिल्कुल।
कभी भी सर को परेशान कर सकती
मैं
हूँ।
आपको ये बताता हूँ कि मैं शिक्षा मंत्रालय में जो अभी काम हो रहा है, एक अभी आपको शायद जानकारी में आया हो कि प्रधानमंत्री ने कुछ 2 महीने 3 महीने पहले घोषणा कर दी कि अब तकनीकी शिक्षा भी मातृभाषाओं में देने की व्यवस्था की जाएगी। तो शिक्षा मंत्रालय में इस पे काम शुरू हो गया और वो तेजी से चल रहा है। तो मैं उसका हिस्सा हूँ, उससे जुड़ा हूँ कि हम IITs में और NITs में और जो तकनीकी हमारे विद्यालय हैं वहाँ पर भारतीय भाषाओं में पढ़ाई दे सकते हैं कि नहीं और कैसे शुरू करें। तो ये कोशिशें चल रही हैं और कुछ बहुत अच्छे परिणाम भी हैं। हम लोगों की IIT के डायरेक्टरों से एक लंबी बैठक हुई, उसके बाद NITs के डायरेक्टर से हो रही है, चर्चा चल रही है और हमें विश्वास है कि कुछ साल में हम ये कर सकेंगे। लेकिन वो तभी होगा जब निजी क्षेत्र भी उसमें बहुत बड़ी मात्रा में सहयोग करेगा। तो ये संभव है। सारी दुनिया के सारे प्रमुख देशों में तो अपनी अपनी भाषा में ही सब कुछ होता है। देखिए, तो हम कर सकते हैं। किसी को शुरुआत करनी है, किसी को पहला कदम उठाना है मजबूती के साथ। मुझे विश्वास है कि आप ये काम कर सकते हैं।
तो सिर्फ एक बात मैं बोल सकती हूँ?
जी जी।
मैंने ये देखा है और खुद अपने बारे में भी मैंने ये ध्यान दिया है कि जब मैं आज से 25-30 साल पहले जब मैं अंग्रेजी में फटाफट बात करती थी, तो जितने भी लोग मेरे आसपास होते थे सब देख के ऐसे बड़े आश्चर्यचकित हो जाते थे कि इतनी बढ़िया कैसे मैं अंग्रेजी बोल लेती हूँ। और उसमें कुछ हद तक मेरे शिक्षकों का भी हाथ है, मुझे ये एहसास दिलाने में कि जितनी फर्राटेदार मेरी अंग्रेजी है उतनी ही मैं होशियार समझी जाऊंगी या उतना ही मेरी पूछ होगी। तो मैं इस भाव के साथ ही बड़ी हुई हूँ और शायद इस भाव की वजह से ही मेरे अंदर अपने अंदर इतना मेरा आत्मविश्वास बढ़ा है। लेकिन ये तो चलिए एक वो हो गया, अच्छी वो हो गई, बात हो गई अंग्रेजी भाषा के बारे में। पर मेरे को ये नहीं समझ में आता कि जो लोग, जो खासकर जो हिंदी भाषी हैं, जो इतने विद्वान हैं और अपने शायद अपने सिर्फ भाषा में नहीं, जिस भी उसमें काम कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में उनको बहुत जानकारी है, उनके अंदर ये हीन भावना क्यों आती है कि हम अंग्रेजी नहीं बोल पाते? क्या हमारा समाज इतना ज्यादा शक्तिशाली है कि इतना जानते हुए भी एक इंसान को छोटा महसूस करवा देता है क्योंकि उनको अंग्रेजी नहीं आती
है? मैंने एक बात का उल्लेख नहीं किया क्योंकि वो थोड़ी लंबी बात हो जाती, लेकिन वो मुझे करना चाहिए था, मेरी गलती है कि एक भाषाई साम्राज्यवाद होता है, भाषाई उपनिवेशवाद होता है, जिसके हम कहते हैं लिंग्विस्टिक इंपीरियलिज्म।
करेक्ट।
इस पर बहुत सारी किताबें हैं दुनिया में। कुछ तो यही मैं दिखाता आपको, एक रॉबर्ट फिलिप्सन है, उनकी आप किताबें अपने यहाँ मंगवा लीजिए अपनी लाइब्रेरी में, कुछ भाषाओं पर, लिंग्विस्टिक इंपीरियलिज्म पर, लैंग्वेज डेथ पर एक अद्भुत किताब है। वो जरूर आप सबके पास होनी चाहिए, पढ़नी चाहिए। जया, मंगवाइए उसको। एक स्विस ऑथर हैं स्कुटनाब टोव करके, टोव स्कुटनाब, मैं आपको नाम भेज दूंगा। उसका नाम है लिंग्विस्टिक जेनोसाइड इन एजुकेशन। एक तरह से ग्लोबल सर्वे है वो भाषाई साम्राज्यवाद और शिक्षा का। तो साम्राज्यवादी भाषाओं ने, जिसमें अंग्रेजी, फ्रेंच, स्पेनिश ये सब शामिल हैं, जिन्होंने उपनिवेश बनाए सब जगह। भारत भी, आप जानती हैं कि हम एक पूर्व औपनिवेशिक देश हैं, हम उपनिवेश रहे हैं अंग्रेजों के। तो उपनिवेशवाद और जो उसका प्रभाव होता है वो इतना व्यापक और गहरा होता है कि दशकों तक वो, और सैकड़ों साल तक कई बार जाता नहीं है। इस पर भी बहुत अध्ययन हुए हैं समाज शास्त्र में, और मनोविज्ञान में और शिक्षा शास्त्र में भी. So there is something called a linguistic imperialism, which leads to intellectual imperialism, educational imperialism, economic imperialism, as well as cultural imperialism, academic imperialism. और भारत तो विशेष रूप से इस एकेडमिक इंपीरियलिज्म का शिकार तो रहा ही है. और सोशल औपनिवेशिक भाषा यानी साहबों की भाषा, हमारे मालिकों की भाषा, ये अंग्रेजी की शुरुआत थी भारत में 200 साल पहले. तो वो आज भी वो मानसिकता चली आ रही है व्यापक भारतीय समाज में. तो मैंने जो कहा कि वो जो 90% भारतीय हैं जिनमें बड़े विद्वान लोग हैं, बहुत प्रतिभावान लोग हैं,
हाँ.
वो इस देशव्यापी माहौल के कारण छोटा महसूस करते हैं, वो दीन हो जाते हैं. और मैं आपको बता नहीं सकता कि मेरा कितना खून खौलता, मैं पागल हो जाता हूँ उनका वो दैन्य देखकर. मैंने कोशिश करके अपने को स्वयं उस दैन्य से दूर किया है, मुझ में भी था, मैंने उसको अपने भीतर से निकाला है. लेकिन मैं उनका दर्द महसूस कर सकता हूँ जिसको वो व्यक्त नहीं कर सकते. कभी वो ये नहीं कह सकते, हिम्मत नहीं होती उनमें ये कहने की कि मुझे अंग्रेजी नहीं आती. क्यों आनी चाहिए अंग्रेजी हमको भारत में? बुनियादी सवाल है. वो हमारी भाषा नहीं है. मुझे शर्म आनी चाहिए अगर मुझे हिंदी नहीं आए या मराठी ना आए या बांग्ला ना आए, लेकिन मुझे अंग्रेजी नहीं आती, इस पे शर्म की क्या बात होनी चाहिए? लेकिन ये है, और ये एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है, बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा मुद्दा है. आप थोड़ा सा आप लोग तो वहां पर हैं अपने आसपास के अपने दूसरे विद्यालयों में, या उन बच्चों के मनोविज्ञान और अपने विद्यालय के बच्चों के मनोविज्ञान की एक तुलनात्मक अध्ययन करिए आप, कि उनका जो आंतरिक भाव है भाषा को लेकर वो क्या है. आपको देखिए क्या नतीजे मिलते हैं. ये करवाइए आप तीनों प्रमुख लोग हैं यहाँ पर, आप जहाँ भी हैं, आप उधर हैं ऊपर ना, बोरीवली के आगे उधर एसलगढ़ की तरफ.
In fact, we work closely with a tribal village. We'll
हाँ.
try to work as per this suggestion.
तो
We can definitely work on it.
तो एक समाज मनोवैज्ञानिक और जो सामाजिक भाषा विज्ञान है, उस दृष्टि से एक आप अध्ययन करवाइए अपने विद्यालय के बच्चों का जो आंतरिक भाव है और दूसरे बच्चों का. और वो जब साथ आते हैं, जब वो इंटरेक्ट करते हैं, तो फिर उनके भीतर क्या होता है. जैसे मैंने बच्चों से बहुत बात की, मैं अपनी बेटियों और उनकी सहेलियों से, दोस्तों से बात करता रहता हूँ, क्योंकि मेरे लिए भाषा से बड़ा कोई मुद्दा नहीं है. और अंत में वो स्वीकार करते कि हाँ, हमारे दोस्तों में अचानक, अरे हाँ, मेरा तो एक भी ऐसा दोस्त नहीं है जो मेरी तरह अंग्रेजी नहीं बोल सकता. कोई जो सिर्फ हिंदी बोलता होगा उससे तो मेरी दोस्ती है ही नहीं. ये शायद हमारे लिए भी ये बात लागू होगी कि हमारे अपने जो बड़े करीबी मित्र हैं उनमें भी अगर आप इस दृष्टि से खोजेंगे तो शायद आपको कुछ ऐसे ही मिलेगा. किसी सरकारी विद्यालय में पढ़ाने वाली शिक्षिका से हमारी घनिष्ठ दोस्ती है क्या? ये हमारी सारी मित्रताएं हमारे जैसे लोगों से ही हैं.
I think I have only my childhood friends with whom I speak in Hindi, but we hardly get to interact these days. पर otherwise जो professional circle में हैं, मैं प्रोफेशनल सर्कल का हिंदी इक्विवेलेंट ढूंढ रही हूँ. व्यावसायिक दायरे में जो भी मित्र हैं वो सभी अंग्रेजी में ही मुझसे संवाद करते हैं और मैं उन्हीं से उनसे अंग्रेजी में संवाद करती हूँ. तो आपने बहुत सही मुद्दे उठाए हैं सर.
हाँ, पुष्पेंद्र जी ने ये दे दिया, बिल्कुल ठीक. देखिए, हाँ, टोस कुटना, ये कृपया सब लोग पढ़ लें चैट में. धन्यवाद पुष्पेंद्र जी, आपने.
लाइब्रेरियन.
हाँ, अरे वाह, ग्रेट, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
So his language revealed him. See, he is a librarian.
Please read this book.
Sure, sir. We are ordering it for our library and we'll read it also. We'll read.
पुष्पेंद्र जी, बहुत बहुत साधुवाद और आपकी जय हो. वाह, आपने मेरा दिल जीत लिया.
Thanks, पुष्पेंद्र.
आकर आपसे मिलना पड़ेगा.
आपका स्वागत है सर.
बट राहुल जी, आपने मेरा एक अब मैं आपको एक वो लगाने वाली हूँ. पेनल्टी की हिंदी बताइए. पेनल्टी की हिंदी बताइए. जुर्माना. आपने मेरा एक जो बोलते हैं ना, जो मैं आज का, जब मैं इसलिए यहाँ पर आई थी कि मैं जय मैम को बताना चाहती थी सरदार पटेल विद्यालय के बारे में.
जी
वही एक विद्यालय ऐसा है जो मैं जानती हूँ जिसमें 5वीं कक्षा तक हिंदी में ही पढ़ाई कराई जाती है। फिर वो चाहे गणित है, चाहे वो विज्ञान है, वो हिंदी में है। और जब मुझे पहली बार वहां पता चला था कि भाई ऐसा भी है एक विद्यालय, वो भी हमारी दिल्ली में, तो मुझे बहुत आश्चर्य हुआ था। और अब तो खैर मैं बहुत अच्छी तरह से जानती हूँ, क्योंकि वहाँ की जो प्रधानाचार्य जी हैं वो मेरी इकलौती ननद हैं।
अरे
तो
So now we got
उनसे
two
हम,
connections for inviting her to Adharshila.
हाँ 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 बिल्कुल।
तो हमारी परम मित्र हैं, उनको बुलाइए आप, क्या बुलाओ।
Definitely.
तो वो जब बताती थी ना, हमको शुरू शुरू में बहुत अजीब लगता था कि सच में ऐसा भी संभव है। तो देखा है, अब तो खैर बहुत साल हो गए देखते हुए, तो अब वो विश्वास में अब इतना समय नहीं लगता। लेकिन हाँ, my dear friends, I'm telling you, it works. It's very effective. Most of the children in our school are so respectful that I feel, you know, the kind of culture we have in Ram Ratna, full of respect, somewhere it is connected because of the connect with the language itself. If I were to compare a Ram Ratna student with an average international school student, our students would win hands down. But I hope it just continues to stay that way, or maybe improve in that direction and not go in the other way, with the way it is happening these days. Children are not able to even score well in far easier. That's the sad state of affairs. I have tried to read a lot to find out why. Why are students faring so poorly in Hindi also? The only answer I have found is because they are not using correct language for their interactions at non-academic levels.
True.
There it is a mix of languages, and that is why they are not doing well in either language, Hindi or English.
A simple reason that I can guess is that they don't get to hear good Hindi.
Agreed.
They
The
don't
first step
find
to learning any language is listening.
their parents are not reading Hindi. They don't see Hindi books at home. They don't see Hindi newspapers at home. None of their friends or friends' parents use good Hindi or speak in good Hindi. So where will they hear good Hindi? Pardon my saying so, but Hindi teachers also outside the classroom don't use good Hindi, don't speak good Hindi.
The Hindi news channels, if you just see how they flash the news, Hindi news channels. In fact, I attended Rahul sir's session last week. It was about it, how media also is totally killing the language, the purity of the language. You will see words like vaccination drive shuru or something like that. क्या vaccination के लिए टीकाकरण जैसा शब्द नहीं है?
मैं तो अपने हर भाषण
में इंडिया में लोग नहीं जानते?
मैं सब जगह कहता हूँ, खुलेआम मैं वर्षों से कह रहा हूँ कि हमारे हिंदी चैनल और अधिकांश बड़े हिंदी अखबार हिंदी की दैनिक हत्या कर रहे हैं। वो हिंदी के हत्यारे हैं, और कोई शब्द नहीं है मेरे पास। मुझे नहीं मालूम कि मराठी में क्या हो रहा है, महाराष्ट्र में क्या हो रहा है मराठी में, लेकिन इतना नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि मराठी में अभी एक भाषा का स्वाभिमान मराठी वालों में है।
अरे बहुत है। मराठी कहानियां हैं, कविताएं हैं, और घरों के अंदर मराठी बोलने में कितनी स्वाभिमानता है।
बिल्कुल। मैं आप सबसे एक और अनुरोध करूंगा, अपने बच्चों को अगली बार जब भी मराठी साहित्य सम्मेलन हो महाराष्ट्र में, पुणे में, आसपास कहीं हो, कृपया उनको ले जाइए और वो दिखाइए उनको कि भाषा से लगाव और भाषा पर स्वाभिमान और गर्व कैसा होता है। मराठी साहित्य सम्मेलन उनको दिखाइए एक बार। मेरी आंखें फट गई मैंने जब पहली बार देखा, इतना विराट, इतना व्यापक और अद्भुत, और उसमें जो जनता का, मराठी लोगों का जो भागीदारी उनकी होती है, जिस उत्साह से वो उसमें भाग लेते हैं, जिस गर्व के साथ, जिस प्यार के साथ। हम अगर अपने बच्चों को अपनी भाषा से प्यार करना नहीं सिखा सकते तो धिक्कार है हमारे शिक्षक होने पर, क्षमा कीजिए।
So maybe Jayadi, that is where we need to begin, that our teachers should take pride in the fact that they are fluent in